Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. My name is Ashley Dorsey, and welcome to The Girls Room, a look into the life of four exceptional Black girls. All of the writers who are present here tonight are so excited to be able to share their work with you guys. You will be hearing pieces from the astounding Athea Hutchinson, Jakia Roberts, Ashley Dorsey, and Tanaya Shockley. So we're so excited all to be able to share our work with you, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you guys, could just get a round of applause going for our first writer, Miss Athea Hutchinson.
Hi, my name is Athea Hutchinson, and the piece that I will be reading for you tonight is called Standards. This topic is important to me because it deals with an issue that I see common with my race. So let's get started. What's the stigma around dating an African American woman? African American women have the most problems centered around them when it comes to dating. So let's dive into some of the ideas or concepts of how it is when an African American woman is in a relationship. Most times, when an African American woman is in a relationship, they usually tend to fall hard for their significant other. I am sure there are tons of definitions of the cliche term, fall hard. But the one I tend to closely relate the definition to is being so deep in your feelings for someone that you tend to miss the flaws. When an African American woman falls hard for her partner, she tends to want to make sure every need of his is met. She does the cooking, cleaning, everything. She needs to be the girlfriend in the relationship. But I believe sometimes women can burden themselves with trying to maintain a relationship. So what if his food isn't always on the table when he comes home? Or his dry cleaning hasn't been picked up yet? Who sets the rules on what being in a relationship should be? Well, oftentimes in my childhood, I watched my mother cater to my dad's every need. She would wake up around 8 a.m., go downstairs, and while my dad sat at the table, she slaved over the stove for breakfast. She would then set the table and proceed to bring his plate to the table. I found myself having to get the condiments and the drinks too. This was the same routine for lunch and, of course, for dinner. Amongst other things my mom would do: cooking, cleaning, ironing his clothes, etc. I wondered, is this what I would experience when I began dating? This concept of being a good wife/girlfriend? I grew up around African American women all of my life, so my viewpoint on things was through them. All that I saw on TV as it pertains to an African American woman in a relationship was subservient, loyal, wanting affection woman. I saw these things as normal in my eyes. So why is it even an issue with African American women being in a relationship? Well, let's think about the images that are portrayed to us through the media. African American women are portrayed as loud and overbearing. When asking for help from their significant other, they're portrayed as nagging or doing too much. In these shows and films, other main recurring themes is the super suspicious girlfriend. They're portrayed as always wanting to see their significant other's phone, or always asking questions. I guess these are the things that make it difficult to date an African American woman. But what about the good aspects of dating an African American woman? Has anybody ever taken the time to actually think about the good? African American women are deemed as being the nurturing type. I guess it's like this instinct to take care of others because of how they were brought up. That's how I was brought up. Being able to provide that safe space For others around them, a high quality trait, a trait that not everybody acquires in life. She's able to listen and provide the necessary feedback to ensure her significant other feels loved. She knows how to cook a warm meal for her significant other. But while these are the good aspects of African American women, sometimes these good traits get flipped into negative traits. I've heard of caring too much for a man or being too nurturing. Makes him a mama's boy. So can we really win? If all the odds are set against us from the start, are we able to actually win as an African American woman? Although my viewpoint of African American women in relationship is basically shaped by the ones before me, like my mother, my aunts, my grandma, even through media, social media, anything, I choose to steer away from the negatives. I'm in a relationship now, but I know when to be nurturing and when to give space. I know how to do the cooking and cleaning, but these things are done equally in our relationship. I choose to ask who texted him instead of assuming he's cheating. I understand that as an African American woman, the odds are sometimes against me in life, but I choose how I want the world to accept me. Thank you.
Wasn't that just amazing, everyone? Didn't you guys just love hearing Athea read her piece, The Standard? I just loved it. So coming up next to the stage, we are going to have Miss Jakia Roberts reading The Call. So let's welcome her up, everyone.
Hello, my name is Jakia Roberts. I am a senior here at the University of West Georgia. I am an English major and an Africana Studies minor. I was born in Mississippi, but I have been living in Georgia for a majority of my life, in the Gwinnett area, but now I'm out here in Carrollton trying to get my degree. So the piece that I'm reading today, it is called The Call. And in line with the theme that my group chose to discuss, the different perspectives and the different experiences of African American women, my piece kind of touches on the subject of absent fathers, and it also kind of touches on incarceration and how some of these things may be like a regeneration of things, you know, because I feel that this is very relevant. I feel that it will always be relevant because there is always a stigma in the African American community about absent fathers, about incarceration, but I feel that these stereotypes kind of like gloss over the reality of the subject. So I think that it is important, you know, to have someone write about their own experience, and that may give some insight on the topic that kind of differs from the stereotypes that are out there. So this is my piece. It's called The Call. Compared to the standard of the normal father-daughter relationship, mine goes beyond the lines of complex. Growing up, I considered not having a present father as normal. Majority of my cousins never had too much to brag about in the dad department. But I also knew that it was not up to the American standard of being morally right. And as time progressed, I knew that the African American community had an absent father stigma attached to it. What amuses me, though, is how extremely wrong these assumptions are. The wrong choice in men, the low self-esteem, the trust issues are not what matters most. What I think matters most is the 6 emotions I felt leading up to the call. I will start with confusion. The earliest memories I have of my father are living with him and my mother while she attended Mississippi State. And I call this time confusion because I remember calling him Chris as if I thought he was simply a boyfriend rather than my own father. I also call this time confusion because the next thing I vividly remember is a late night argument then driving down Highway 82, then not knowing why, but understanding that Chris would not be a big part of my life anymore. He would not be my father anymore. It felt like a metaphorical rift happened in my not-so-conventional family. The next stage I recall is excitement. This consisted of the random moments we reconnected. A shopping trip before school started, maybe a phone call or two, maybe a surprise visit once every few months, sometimes years. And because stage 1 resulted in a rift, it felt as if I was meeting a new person each time, and it was thrilling yet fulfilling. I knew the reconnections would come with maybe money, maybe I love yous and I miss yous, maybe promises of him being my father again. But I had to quickly navigate out of the excitement stage and realize I was living in the next stage, naivete. It became a sport for him to make promises that never materialized, money that I never received, visits that never happened, and promises of change that never evolved. And then, as if I were standing outside my own body, I watched naivete turn to anger from calling 20 times a day with no answer. I mean, how can someone realistically miss 20 calls? Then sadness from craving a relationship so bad but always reaching an obstruction. Sadness from constantly making myself vulnerable to someone else's inabilities. Then, eventually, the tears drove me to the next stage, indifference. Then suddenly, one day, there was a call. This is a collect call from Jefferson County Prison. Do you accept the charges? And then it all made sense. This call led to several revelations. How can a father that never had a father be a father? How can a father who never finished high school be successful with the responsibility of a child? How can a father who was regenerated into his family drug business make a child?